Hyperion is the second tallest roller coaster in Europe and actually stands as Poland's tallest and fastest roller coaster. It stands at a whopping 252 foot tall, but because it drops into the ground into a tunnel, the drop height is actually 269 foot. This makes it by far the tallest drop on any roller coaster in Europe, besides of course Red Force. And after going to Energylandia back in September of 2023 and riding Hyperion, I knew that I just had to build it out of NEX. So let's crack on and get started. Of course, one of the things that I do for all of my recreations is I try to 3D print a realistic looking train, and this project will be no exception, so let's get to work. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Like, I haven't even taken apart Wildcat Revenge yet, and I've gotten so lucky with finding this. Look! Someone's already done a Hyperion train! Oh, I'm so lucky. I don't have to do any 3D modeling. I literally just have to like remove the old wheel, put the holes for the screws so that I can fit, you know, these types of wheels on. And then obviously do like the connection point for the ball joint as well. And that's the thing. I don't want to spend a stupid amount of time 3D modeling on my projects if I can avoid it. So the fact that I've been able to be incredibly lucky and find this, and all I have to do is change the wheels, like, that is a sign that this project is going to go well. Wow, so I've been like really hard at work getting this train, and I've actually printed off the first piece. I've also been like messing around with getting my wheel assemblies to work on them, but then I realized the front of Hyperion, it has these like really cool realistic look, you know, wheel assemblies. Like when you look at the front Zero car, you've obviously got quite big wheels there, and I want to keep at least that level of realism. Now, I couldn't get the wheels to rotate this way, but instead I have separated this front section and I've put my little rotating thing on here. It's the same one that I used for the Eurofighter car and also the Shambhala train. So that means all I had to build for this front section was the twisting for when the track turns left and right, and also the two running wheels actually pitching back and forth as it goes over a hill. So a bearing fits onto here, and that allows the entire wheel assembly structure to move side to side, and then these arms basically attach through threaded rod, basically a screw, and then that allows them to pitch backwards and forwards. I'm currently printing off a test run, and this is actually the first piece. It's the front car, just to test the fitment of the twisty bit. However, I wasn't able to get the proper like rotation. It keeps rubbing, and I think that's just because the spacing is a bit off. Like when it compressed down, it tends to rub because it's not like sat straight. But either way, with a little bit of tweaking, that should work really well. As I continued to work on the train, I managed to get the entire front wheel assembly working just like the real coaster, and I have to say, it worked amazingly. This is definitely going to be my best train yet. I've printed off this front piece to test it, and I'm not even joking, it fit first try. I don't even know how I've managed that. It allows it to be able to pitches and yaws independently on this axis just above here. It's on a bearing, and then these twist like this, and then the actual wheels themselves are independently twisting. And then on the back there, that one's going to do the twisting. It's a little bit fiddly to get onto the track, but it works. It rolls, and there's almost perfect amount of spacing. I've got some more of the train printed now. Take a look at this beauty. The seats aren't on yet. I haven't got them resin printed just yet. They should be on their way soon though. As you can tell, I don't have any space for a resin printer, so I'm having to pay someone else to do that for me. But they will hopefully sit on these little grooves. I'm still amazed at like how well this front section turned out. I've never done any like realistic wheels yet for roller coasters. And of course I don't want to lose too much speed to friction by having like so many more bearings. So all the ones behind it are just going to be the normal NEX wheel assemblies that I normally use. And whilst I was waiting for the resin prints to arrive, I decided to get started on the layout. We have the first part of the lift hill. Of course, I'm not going to be using the red track. I'm hoping that my contact over at NEX can send me some black tubing. So just in case you didn't know how I build my recreations, I'm going to show you that right now. I always start off by going on Google Maps and going on the satellite view, and I basically take a picture of the entire layout. And then what I'll usually do is I'll come over into paint.net, and I can use it simply just to like move around and see exactly where things line up. And a good example would be these two sort of final hills before the brake run here. You can tell this second to last hill lines up with almost sort of the top of the drop support here. So that's a good reference point. Now I want to try and build some of this backwards so I know that I have enough speed at least to get into the brake run. I want to build the airtime hill and the S-turn and this whole like figure 8 section. Once I build this overbank turn, as long as I can push the car through here and it actually goes round and makes it back to the brakes, then that is a successful start to the build. And in order to do that, I'm basically going to build it in 2 sections. And those 2 sections, if I build them separately, one section should fit fully in my room, and then the other section should fit in the hallway. So first, nice and easy, I'm going to build this back section here, and then this final airtime hill here. And if I know that it goes from here into the brakes, then I can cut this off here and build this whole section here with the 2 turns and the airtime hills. I can basically build all of that in one, just about in my bedroom. I've just got the final airtime hill and the brake run in place now, but seeing it in person is making me realize how big this is actually going to be, and perhaps to save on like height and speed, I'm thinking maybe I should have done the station and brake run like 1 block lower. I ended up giving it a test run, and then afterwards I changed the height and reduced it all by 1 full granite rod, and I had to do this in order to try and save as much speed as possible, because if I kept going at that current height, this thing could have ended up being 10 foot tall. We gave it 1 final test at the new height and then moved on to the next section. So as you can see, the brake run over here and the first airtime hill are now in place. So now it's time to move on to something a little bit more exciting. You know, I'm kind of looking forward to this section because it's basically the ending of the ride where it sort of goes really low to the ground and sort of zips round. So currently we've obviously got like half of the lift hill, the station, the turn and the brake run. And then if you little zoom in there, this splashdown section is what we've currently already built here with this valley. And right here over the fence is this airtime hill, which basically means this big turnaround here, if I was to like build it now, it would basically butt up right against the wall. So if I want to continue building in that direction and build that whole sort of spaghetti bowl section, then I need to build the lift hill up a little bit further, make another support down and attach them at the bottom. That way I can cut the track like just after this airtime hill here, and then this entire back section can basically just be stored away somewhere permanently until the end of the project. But it was time to take a break from building the layout because we got a special package in the post. Oh yeah, look what just got delivered. And there's even more. Wow, I have to say these turned out absolutely amazing. God, just look at the detail on that. Look at the little handlebars. Oh, they're so detailed. Wow, I cannot get over how good these look. Damn, this train's gonna look so good. Once I was done checking out the new seats, it was time to move on to building the next part of the layout. So I've moved everything over to the left now so that we can work on this next bit. It's like a switchback hill. It's basically this section here. It's one long hill, but it's like switching back. So I just came up with another way to do the track. This is the previous way that I used to do it, and it relied on obviously overlapping 2x2, side, middle, and then the other side. And this part I'm still using, but the extra support rods, I've changed the location. Previously, we used to use these on the outside, and they're a 45-degree connector, and it allows you to have more overlaps to even out the space between the rods. But now, instead of putting that extra rod here, I've been feeding it through this hole here, and this is the result. Much smoother transitions. You can barely see any kinks in the track. Obviously, as a result, it looks way smoother. You can hardly see where the difference is between each rod. Way smoother. And it actually feels like it runs through the track smoother. So after I finished the final airtime hill and twisted airtime hill, I added the extra stiffening rods and then gave it a test run. Well, it's been a late one today, but I've almost got the full first turn done. So if we look at the plans, what I've done so far is obviously everything this side, but then I've done this twist finally, and I've started the first half of the turn. Check it out. Doing this like double rod system through the middle, it's actually so good. After finishing the first half of the turn, I of course gave it a test to make sure that it cleared the hill. I took a break from building the layout to go to my girlfriend's and paint the train. I sprayed a base coat of black over everything including the seats, and then once that had dried, I began to add the small little details of paint on top, such as the blue lap bar restraints and the white and blue pattern on the front Zero car. I then proceeded to use some strong glue to stick these seats to the bases, and after all this work, I think they came out absolutely amazing. I can't believe it, the train is finally done. I just need to put the wheels back on and then put it onto the track. Oh yes, look at it. Oh, that is amazing. Oh, this is my best train by far. Right, I'm sick, but I'm still working on the coaster. We've managed to get this like sideways airtime hill in, and I've just finished this airtime hill that goes in before it, and I've worked out that I've just about got enough space to build the really large like overbank turn, sort of goes behind the lift structure here. I imagine it's probably going to be just above this marker here on the wall, so I reckon it's maybe going to be about 2.5 foot off the ground. But let's give you a little test run, shall we? Now we've completed the full turn, sideways airtime hill, the small airtime hill, and the main large overbank. I've even started one of the main hills in the main section of the ride. So now that the final half of the ride was fully complete, we had to take it all apart section by section and store it away. So last night I managed to get the sideways airtime hill done. This is the bit that you go into after the, I believe it's like more like a dive loop. It sort of comes down and then goes over this sideways airtime hill. But whilst I was at work today, we got a package. This package is from the lovely people over at NEX, specifically John, who was the one who organised getting this made for me. Let's take a look at what he sent me. That's right, they've sent me a bunch of new tubing in some colours that I've asked for. Got about 200 meters of plain black tubing, obviously for Hyperion, the current project that we're building, and possibly some other future projects that have black track, maybe Soar the Ride, Oblivion, the Smiler, etc. You know, a lot of coasters in the UK have black track, so this is very useful. But then over to the right, look what we have. Some beautiful white and gold tubing, which you don't get to find out what it's for yet, so let's move on. As you can see, I've got the whole of the dive loop done, and I've tested it by dropping it from here, going over the sideways airtime hill and the mini one, and it has plenty of speed getting over the next one. So this should have more than enough speed to complete the layout. The only two things I have left to do is to connect this piece of track here over in the, basically the first major airtime hill, and then after that I just have to build the drop itself, which I have the exact profile of in this red pen here. So it is the week of the final build, where we take the entire thing outside and put it all together. I'm putting the main sections together out here to test them. So you've got the dive loop, you've obviously got the main big hill, and then over there I'll put the drop. And that drop is actually the final thing that we have to build, so I'm very excited to finally finish this project. Over here we have this turn, and we also have bottom of the drop just here. This section just here attaches to the end of here, and then this is obviously the top of the lift, which then goes over down into the drop, and as it comes down, that section is there. But I need to move this over near the wall. I've even got multiple projects on the go, because these gold cross ties that I'm spraying gold are for my next project. So you better subscribe and turn on notifications so you're ready for when that one drops. It's finished, we've finally done it. Look, I've got the drop done all the way down. Let's take a closer look. So along the entirety of the drop, I've put the extra sideways, like with the 45-degree connectors, I've put those on, and I've put the ones through the middle. That's just to make sure that the bottom of the drop all the way up is like fully strong. But if we take a step back, I know that this bit's in the way, but it's pretty good shape for the drop. Say from like the low down angles like this, it's gonna look really good on camera when it's going around. And literally the only things I have left now is, well, sections like this, which are the brake run and the station back here. I just want to maybe decorate them a little bit. You know, I've got some extra time before the rain stops. It's not going to be till next week that I'm going to be able to film this. So yeah, let's get some decorating done. Over the next week, while I waited for the rain to stop, I decorated some catwalks and a station section and finished off any last things. Right, I'm going to start taking all this down now so that it's all ready for tomorrow. Then all we have to do is clip it together and put the tubing on. So I was going to wear a GoPro of me putting it all together and putting the tubing on, but I completely forgot. Okay, I've just put the station track and the lift hill track into place, and we've got the train on now, and wow, it looks amazing. It has been finished. I took it all out last night, and then this morning I came and put in all the tubing, this lovely black tubing here, and I was so surprised to see that it actually makes it all the way around without any issues. And like some of these angles that I'm gonna get through here, they're just nuts. Thank you so much for 7,000 subscribers, and thank you to all the people who became channel members from my last video, Wildcat's Revenge. Of course, if you'd like to support this channel, then please do subscribe and consider becoming a channel member, as channel members will soon be getting access to all of my 3D print files for my custom trains. So without further ado, let's take a look at the results.